This is the Mobile Home Park Lawyer Podcast with Ferd Neiman. If you're looking to generate wealth and passive income in the lucrative world of mobile home parks, you're in the right place. You'll discover solutions to the common legal and operational pitfalls and how to optimize parks to maximize income. Your host is in the trenches. He's a real estate attorney, financial analyst, and mobile home park investor and operator. Now, let's turn it over to Ferd Neiman.
Welcome back, Mobile Home Park Nation. Ferd Neiman here again today, another episode of the Mobile Home Park Lawyer Podcast. Got another great guest for you today. He's a young guy who just got in the space a couple years ago, and he's going and blowing. We're going to hear more about his story and some lessons learned from him. Please help me welcome my guest, Mitchel Armstrong. Mitchel, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on, Ferd. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it.
So would you like me to kind of go from an A to B zero?
Tell us how you got started in real estate and then how you got into MHP, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start from day one. So I'm 25 years old. I turned 25 August 8th of this month. So I started real estate November 20th of 2020. I got my first off-market single-family house for $65K in Connecticut. After slaving away, putting in nothing but sweat equity in there because I couldn't afford to hire nobody. We put in around $25K or so in materials. I had around $90K into it. Got it appraised for $265 and cashed out 75%, $198. That's what gave me my jump into real estate. So now I had some, tax-free money to work with. So I was hungry for more properties. But I think because I kind of hit a bit of a slam dunk on the first one, I was like, man, every time I saw a deal, I was like, this just isn't good enough. So I started, doing a lot of handwritten letters. I got a 5-unit apartment building in Connecticut off mailer for $95K. I purchased it for. It's worth about $600 now. That was from a mailer, and I kept sending out more mailers. Actually, the only other property in Connecticut I got under contract was a single family house, 200 purchase, about 300 as is, 400 ARV. Before I could close on it, it set on fire. The tenants had rabbits apparently that were in the walls chewing on the electrical wires. Wow. That deal was, that went away, but I got my earnest
rabbits in the walls. That's rare. I bought a mobile home park one time, and it came with it was like a little office building, but the guy had turned it into a residence, and it was a 2-bedroom. One bedroom was full of rabbits, and the other bedroom was his.
Really? Yeah.
Like 100 rabbits. It was like disgusting to get that place cleaned out, but that's my only experience really with rabbits. But
Dude, that's hilarious because I think that was similar. When the fire department went there, they were like telling me there was tons of rabbits. And the thing is that was the side that they kind of had it in a legal multifamily kind of, but it wasn't actually separated off or submetered. It was just like, that was the side I didn't get in because somebody was living in. So now I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so eventually I went and I was like, listen, I got to go nationwide, to try to find some deals that would make sense to me. So I started looking nationwide. Actually, how I started to go nationwide, I'm in West Virginia now. I'm from Connecticut, but I was talking to Alexa and I said, hey, Alexa, where's the cheapest real estate in America? And Alexa told me West Virginia. So I was on Zillow for about 5-10 minutes.
Wow. That's a whole nother level of virtual assistant.
Yeah. Alexa's a pretty good VA. So I went on Zillow and I typed in like 4-bathroom and then, 4-bedroom, try to find a 4-unit or something small to start with. I found this 4-unit building in West Virginia. It was completely vacant, but it was rent ready. It was a turnkey building. It could use a little bit of love, but nothing but paint and lipstick, It was originally listed for like $120. I was just lowballing these listings on, Zillow, and I told them I'll give them $65K. And she's like, I'll submit the offer, and they countered me at $75K. I literally muted the phone and started cheering. I was like, whoa, like this is insane, And then I unmuted the phone and I was like, okay, tell your sellers that I'm firm. Call me back tomorrow. So, wow. And the only reason I did that is because they were playing, they wanted 120 for it. If they were on their ball field, they would have said 110, 100, but I said 65 and they said 75, which is showing me they just wanted to get rid of it,
Right.
And I told the agent, I said, listen, press this because you're going to represent me. So you're getting as much as if you were representing the seller selling it for full price, So now that thing cash flows is about $30,000 a year. I paid cash for it with that refi money. So it's basically a 50 cap. Too bad it won't get appraised as one, but that's my return. So
nice.
it was exciting. So I got hungry for some more West Virginia properties, and actually, I was sitting on Facebook, and I saw this. I typed in West Virginia in the search bar when you're in a Facebook group, and just see anything that could come up in the real estate page that was in West Virginia. So basically, I saw this mobile home park deal that was listed like 3 months prior, and I was like, there's dozens of comments on it, and I was like, man, this looks interesting, but they didn't have a price. So I emailed them, and they wouldn't give me a price. So we went back and forth for a couple of days, just battering them for a price. And I was like, listen, I'm not going to make an offer. Give me a price. But I ran the numbers, and I was like, this thing's worth like, around $1 million as is. But I didn't know what to offer. I mean, I wanted to do a BRRRR. So every property I obtain, I want to make sure I can cash out refinance in less than 12 months and pull out 100% of my invested capital. So I was like, I'm like, I want to be at 75% of the million. So anyways, they finally gave me a price, and they said, listen, we got two guys going back and forth at 650, mostly as is. And I was like, what do you mean? That's ridiculous. So I said, listen, call it 700, completely as is, cash. I'll send you $10,000 in earnest money right now. It's hard the second I send it to you, and we'll get this thing closed. And the reason that I did that is because I just wanted to tie it up. And truthfully, in my bank account, I had $15,000 to my name. But I'm looking at this deal, I was like, this is gonna be easy to finance. So I'm literally wiring $10K out of like over 50% of all the money.
Were you under contract, or you wired it before you even had the contract?
No, they sent me the contract, and then I wired it.
Okay, got it.
I told them I would give them 10K EM in like 24 hours, So I go under contract. I got it off eForms. I just went on eForms. I printed West Virginia contract, filled it out, shot it over to them. And yeah, I mean, they signed it. So, it was a pretty aggressive contract. Like, I didn't have any contingencies other than clear title, So,
wow.
And it was a quick closing. So, I mean, the deal was good, and I was hungry.
So how'd you come up with the money? That seems like a tough timeline and tough contract to get it financed on.
Yeah, it was really difficult. So first I had to go for the primary financing. Now before I put this under contract, I talked to a lot of brokers and lenders that claim they could do mobile home park financing. And I didn't give them the address, but I gave them the numbers. And they were like, oh, all day, all long, we can fund this like 80% loan to value, no issue. So turns out I get it under contract, and I send it out to the same people. Not one of them was able to finance it after they came back from underwriting.
Because of the location, or because they were just blowing smoke to begin with?
They might have been blowing smoke to begin with, but I think a lot of it is the number one question I got is, what's your mobile home park experience? And it was none. I was like, I don't have any,
Yeah.
So that was a big issue, but it was, also it was 34 units. It was a 2-park portfolio, but they're like right next to each other. So I kind of referred to them as one deal. But yeah, so two parks, 34 units, 31 were park-owned home rentals. That was the other issue.
Yeah.
So
that's got some hair
heavy
on it.
park-owned home ratio. But yeah, so after I would go on Bigger Pockets, and I would look up every lender that ever said anything. I would go on Google and literally just type in lender and just call every lender. I went on every Facebook page and just blasted trying to find financing. And I didn't count, but I mean, it was hundreds. I mean, it felt like thousands of people I was calling. But eventually I got one guy who was like, listen, we could probably do this loan, but it's going to be expensive. And I was trying to get high leverage. Like, I had a couple of people that were like, we can do 65%. And I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to raise that kind of down payment, So I was like, needed to get the most leverage as possible. So there's this one guy that gave me a term sheet for 70% LTV, and I was about to go with it. And then I get this call back from somebody. And I told him, I'm like, listen, I'm about to sign this term sheet, but if you give me 75% LTV, I'll do it. And then he's like, we can do it, but it's going to be expensive. I paid 14% and 5 points in a bunch of junk fees. Yeah.
That is a lot of fees, man. That is hard money. How long was your term?
12 months.
Oh, wow. We call those loan to own. That's what some banks want. They hope they'll loan you the money, but they hope to own it when you can't refinance out at the balloon.
Yeah. So it was tough. It was crazy. So I was like, I'll take it. Done. I signed their term sheet, the letter of intent or whatever for the financing, and sent it right back to them. And now I was on a mission to find about $250,000 to close it.
Wow. So
mind you, before I owned this, I had a single family, a 5-unit, and a 4-unit. That's all I had. No mobile home park experience. The deal was good.
How'd you raise the money? People you knew, or random people on the internet?
Oh, I don't know anybody. I'm the financial supporter for my parents and for a lot of my family members. So I didn't have a mom or dad to ask for a private loan for. I had to sit on Facebook. I went on Facebook, and what I did, the same way I found that deal, I typed in JV, and then I would type in joint venture in the search bar of every single real estate group on Facebook. And anybody that's ever commented anything that had to do with JV, anybody that ever posted anything that had to do with the JV, got a spammy copy and paste message from me. Which was essentially, I have this park under contract for $700K. Here's the NOI. I think it's worth about 900 as is. And here's my phone number. Call me if you're interested. So I would blast it, literally blast that, copy and paste to everybody. And I just started getting in phone calls. And for a couple of weeks, and the thing is like, I can talk a lot. So I'd be on the phone for like an hour, sometimes hour plus with some of these people, just trying to build relationships with them. Like, come on, let's do this. And everybody, depending on who I was talking to, I would offer something different. If it seemed more passive, I'd say, listen, I'll give you 40% equity. And the other people, I'll give you 50%. Some people I was like, listen, let's just, actually, I think that's what I was bouncing for, trying to keep 60 or 50. And I kept telling them, I'm like, listen, look at these numbers. If you can run these numbers, this is a perfect burr. Like, give me 6 months seasoning, and we're going to cash out refinance, and your principal will get returned. If not, we're just going to this is the first option. The first option is we cash out refinance. The numbers are amazing. You're going to get your principal back from the cash out refinance. We won't have any money in it. If not, then my 60% equity will go down to 30% equity until cash flow pays you back, or whatever it might be, So the biggest thing I had people question me is, oh yeah, so if it's worth 900K right now, why do you have it under contract for 700? And I was like, well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not going to call the owner and ask them that question.
Yeah, no kidding. So it's called a deal, right? It's like the market price is what I can get it for, off market, or quasi off market.
They were in a rush to sell. They had some medical situations going on. And they just needed money. And I made it pretty simple. I didn't have any contingencies. I had like an 8-page contract. That was basically the most basic stuff that any standard contract would have. I wired them 10K immediately. That went hard. So they never questioned me.
So how many investors did you end up getting? Was it one big investor, or did you get several smaller investors?
So I had several people that were interested. And when they would say they're interested, I said, listen, on this Monday, coming up Monday, I want you to call me at 9 a.m. Okay. And I want you to confirm that you're interested still, because I don't want you to tell me this now. I want you to think about it for a week and then tell me. So I told that to everybody. So I had this like set date for a Monday. And I said, if you're interested, call me. So throughout those talks, I had people that were okay with me owning 60, with me owning 50. And then I had 2 guys that were like, listen, because I was trying to raise 250. And I was like, one guy was like, I don't have 250, but I have $125. And another guy was like, well, I have $125 too. So if somebody else is interested in splitting it with me, we could do some kind of 3-way partnership. So I said, okay, that's fine. I'm fine with whatever. At that point, I understood the value of closing this deal, because all the financing would go, do you have a park? Do you have a park? Or even when I was raising the capital, do you have a park? Do you have a park? So I was like, I need my name on this.
You need one. That's that happen all the time.
This would have been 2. This was 2.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, so essentially that Monday came and I got the call from the first guy that was interested. 125K, I have it. You find somebody else, let me know. And the next person I talked to was the other guy that had 125K. And then mind you, this is all within like 10 minutes. And the next guy with 125K, I said, good, let's sign a joint venture contract. Let's do this. I hang up the phone call with him. I get a third phone call. Hey, I'm down for this. We'll do 50-50 partners. I got the 250. Sorry, man, you're about 5 minutes late.
Oh, wow. So the first two guys made it.
Yeah. And the thing is I only owe 33% of those. But a deal is a deal. They came first. They get it. I need people that don't hesitate on the clock. Because my biggest fear was going through this and then pulling out. And I thought if somebody's going to come back to me immediately, they're probably not going to pull out. So on my joint venture contract, I also made it put that if any of them, by their default, don't close on this loan, they're responsible for paying me back the 10K deposit, which they agreed to. So yeah, we closed it. Out of the 34 units, 33 were occupied. There was only 1 vacancy, turnkey, needed no rehab, rented it right away. Did a $50 rent increase. On average, they were about $200 to $250. The average rent was about $200 to $250 below market value. And we're like, listen, we're just gonna do a $50 rate bump. We're already buying a good deal. I mean, we'll probably do $50 and we won't have to do any increase again. It'll be enough to cash us out, because 31 units, $50 a unit, 20,400 in additional net income. That's over $200,000 for the evaluation. Oh, but check this out. Forgot to mention this point. So when we closed on it during acquisition, the appraisal came back from our lender, $975,000 as is.
Nice.
And that was amazing, because every person that told me there's no way it's going to price for 900, I messaged back a couple of them and I said, man, dude, you were right. It didn't appraise for 900. It appraised for 975.
Oh man, you're gloating.
It was so bittersweet.
Oh, that's hilarious. So what happened next?
Yeah.
Did you get your 12-month balloon refinanced and paid off?
Yeah. So 6 months, I was actually setting this out before 6 months after we did the $50 rent increase, and we put up our NOI and filled that vacancy. We were like, and we had a couple of turnovers. There was, I think, 5 non-performing tenants during the acquisition. I went there, I door knocked on all of their homes, and I said, listen, I'm not in the business of taking homes. I'm in the business of providing homes. The owners told me that you haven't paid rent, some of them like 6 months to a year. They haven't paid rent. I said, I can file eviction right now, but I'm going to give you a break. All the back rent, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay me nothing. I'm not going to try to collect for anything. This month's rent, don't worry about it. Next month, though, you will rent, get a 5-day grace period, and I want you to get current. 3 of those people got current, have been current ever since. 2 of them got evicted, which was nice because now we have market paying tenants. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so long story short, 6 months went by. The day of my 6 month seasoning, I sent it out with a broker, Emma Norman, and she came back, I think 10 days later with a term sheet. 70% LTV, cash out, 5.25 fixed for 5 years, 20-year amortization. Really, really great terms. I mean, 5.25 right now is fantastic.
Yeah.
We cashed out. We pulled out $800,000. That was our goal. Our goal was to make ourselves whole, not to over leverage the asset. We wanted to keep the cash flow strong. That's why we're all investing. There's 3 of us. We want that passive income. So yeah, we pulled out $800K. We had about like $750 or so into it. Any maintenance along the way was just paid by the rents. We never went out of pocket for any maintenance, any deferred maintenance, any problems, any issues. It all came from the rent. We didn't start paying ourselves until after 90 days. So we stocked up about, I think now we carry about 40K in reserves consistently in that business account. Just in case anything happens, we're good. So yeah, so we cashed out $800K. And yeah, we pulled out the whole 800. We got all of our money back. And then we got an excess of 20,000 after giving both of my 2 partners all of their money back, paying off the hard money loan. We had in getting my 10K earnest money deposit back. There was an excess of 20,000. So we each got a little bit of, icing on the cake too. And that was amazing. So by the time that cash out happened, I had already owned, I was up to 4 parks. Now I'm at 5. But when that closed, I had 4 parks. And, the best part of about that process is anybody that could see the deal and, they could talk to the partners, because I was the managing partner. They were silent, they don't have to do anything. I'm 100%, on board. And the best thing about those parks is they're all vertically integrated. It's 2 parks. So there's a 22 unit and a 12 unit park. At the 22 unit, there's a lady there. She's in one of the 3 tenant owned homes. She gets free lot rent, $400 a month. And, she does anything that a manager does. And at the other park, we've got a guy in Section 8. He doesn't want to be paid because he doesn't want to lose his HUD housing, but he loves being involved in the park. And he's been doing this for a while. We inherited him from the previous owner. But HUD, so his payment is essentially, we don't collect his portion of his HUD rent from him. But HUD still pays us $400 a month. And we give that $400 to the other lady. So we got free management.
That's pretty sweet. Free management. It's hard to do.
Yep. And he did all of our evictions when we had those evictions in the beginning, won them all. He's done evictions before. So if we have eviction problems, he goes to court for us. They collect our rents. They deposit our rents at a local bank we set up right next to the parks. Money orders, cash is checks bounce, cash gets stolen. So they just do the money orders. They're all older people. We tried getting them online, and even with a little bit of incentive, they're kind of pushing us back on it. So we're like, fine, just give us money orders. That's cool. They deposit our rents. They keep spreadsheets for us of all the rents collected. I mean, it's better than third-party management because they care a lot about the parks because they live there. So they want what's best for them.
That's great.
So yeah,
we've got a lot of staff that live and work in the park, and the pros and cons to it for them and for us. But a lot of them work out really well, and a lot of them are good. And they do have just naturally more pride of ownership, and pride of neighborhood. So that's generally a good thing. I have a few managers and greeters that over the years have wanted to have, eat steak with hamburger budget. So it's like, hold on, guys, we can't pay for all that. We got to do.
Yeah.
We're not getting the pool. Sorry, we'll do a playground, but we're not getting the pool. Oh, come on. This other park has a pool. I'm like, the other park has 200 pads and lot rent $600. They're like, oh, never mind. I don't need the pool. So that's great. So what's the plan now? You're in the West Virginia area. What's your next move? Continue in that location or buy in other locations, or give me.
Yeah. But I want to touch real quick on the on-site manager thing. My criteria for the on-site manager, which I think everybody should share, is somebody that's either on SSI, somebody that's like on Social Security income, they're retired, somebody that's older and preferably in a tenant-owned home. No turnovers, and they don't have anything else going on in their lives. So this is kind of their main thing. So that's kind of one thing that I'm looking for to fit that criteria. I just figured I'd put that out there. But yeah, so right now, since then, I acquired a 47 lot mobile home park on 23 acres, completely cleared out and flat, no zoning restrictions in West Virginia, for $200K. There was about, I think, 12 to 15 homes or so occupied at the time, like 155 lot rents. So wasn't making that much. It appraised as is for $375. So, we almost bought it for about 50 cents on the dollar. That lead was a real estate agent, young guy, like myself, came up to me. He's like, "Hey man, you're buying these deals. How can I help you?" I was kind of joking when I said this. I said, "Well, go to a trailer park and I want you to knock on the trailers. I want you to ask for their landlord's number, and I want you to call them. And I want you to say, hey, listen up. I've got a cash buyer. I'm an agent. You don't have, I'm not trying to represent you right now. All I want to do is have my cash buyer make you a cash offer. And if only you like the offer, then I'll be your agent and I'll be his agent." So the guy, he got a guy like in a week, this guy. So he called me back. He's like, "Dude, these people want this park. They want to sell this park. 47 developed lots, city water, city sewer, paved roads." I was like, okay, I mean, what do they want? They wanted like 4 or something like that at the time. And this is what I did for the negotiating. I said, well, listen, offer them 200. And my philosophy is the same I share with all of the assets. So like the 600K, 95K building, the 65K offer on that 4 unit. My philosophy is if I ask a seller what is the best and lowest they're willing to take, they're not going to tell me. But if I give them an offer that I think is so much lower than what they will ever be willing to accept, I think their counter will be their bottom dollar. So that's my philosophy. So I said, listen, 200K. And then they countered me and said 275. Again, they're on my playing field. So I called the agent and I said, listen up, this is what we're going to do. I don't want you to get confused because I love this park and I want this park, but I'm going to send you a message talking so much crap about this park and how I hate it and how this guy should be lucky to get anybody to buy it. And when I send it to you, I want you to screenshot it. I want you to send it to the seller and I want you to tell him, hey man, listen, please don't tell him or anybody that I'm sharing this with you, but this is how my buyer's feeling right now. What do you want to do? He doesn't want to budge. All right, fine. We'll take the 200K offer.
Oh my God.
Bought it for 200K.
That's great. That's amazing that worked. The art of the deal.
The thing is if I started belittling the park to him, he'd be like, dude, why are you trying to lowball me? but the fact that I used a third party to my advantage, so it's like he's got this outer scope on what's really going on.
And he clearly didn't see through it. That's funny.
Yeah.
So so there's some negotiation.
So yeah, we've been infilling that park. I identified a 12 lot park that's closing down. Gentleman inherited it from the grandma. He just doesn't want to be in the trailer park business. He wants to build a house on it. Got all the homes for free. I've been moving those in. Rent ready homes. I mean, I could have had them with or without the tenants. He had tenants in there, and I was like, well, I don't know. Tell me your rent roll. Horrible rent roll, like half a market. I said, I guess I'll take them without the tenants.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we've been moving in these homes. I connected with a mover. I told them, listen, if you get calls, somebody wants to move a mobile home off their property, or they buy a lot and they're trying to build a house or whatever it might be, you don't have anywhere to put it, charge them for the moving fee. I'll pay you the same moving fee so you can double dip and bring those homes to my park. So I've got some homes from him I got for free that came into the park. Nice. I mean, obviously there's expenses. I got to hook them up and pay to move them, but the homes were free.
Right. We've done that, but we've done that before, and it got harder and harder because people just started paying more and more. But I asked a mover one time, I said, like, I'll give you $5,000 for every referral. And he said, the guy down the street offered 20. I was just like, wow. He's like, yeah, so I'll just be honest, I'm never going to bring you on. It's like, how is he offering you 20? He's like, he's offering me 20, like any condition, any home. I was like, good grief. So
wow.
The shakeup right now on used homes is so out of whack because new home prices are so expensive and all the supply chain issues. But we used to be able to buy them from straight retailers, and now we never get our hands on any from those guys. They know they're worth more, and they sell them themselves. But
yeah, I mean, I guess I'm pretty lucky, but yeah, I mean, I since then I've been hounding Facebook Marketplace. Just picked up a 3-bedroom mobile home. These are tenants that were getting evicted out of the park. 2 family members, they're both getting evicted, so they had to move their homes. Picked up a 3-bedroom for $2,000, and I picked up a 2-bedroom for $1,000.
Wow.
Those are in my park now too. So yeah, that info is going good. We should be looking at about a $2 million valuation within 10-month period, and we're going to cash out refinance year 1, pull all that money out, and we'll probably be able to pull out like about 1.5 when I'm done. But I'm not going to. I should have about 400 into it, so we'll pull out about 400. Keep that cash flow strong. I like having a nice balance sheet when I'm sending out my SREO to banks and stuff like that. And I'm all in it for the cash flow, So that deal's good. But speaking about the used homes, I have a new park under contract. It changes a bit. They keep sending us updated rent rolls, but as of today, 236 developed lots, city water, city sewer, about between 70 to 80 occupied, paying tenants. So it's a big project. It's probably worth in the neighborhood of 2 to 3-ish about right now. Have under contract for 1.7, $0 down. The seller is doing seller finance on the down payment. We've talked to a bank and they're okay with it. So the bank's giving us 75% financing. Seller's carrying 25%. The terms on that 25% is $500 a month for 5 years. It was deferred interest, 0 payments for 5 years, just one balloon. But they were like, well, how do we know if you're current? How do we know if you're defaulting if we don't have the payment?
Right.
Charge me $500 a month. Okay.
Yeah, there's harder to find sellers to do it, but there are sellers out there. We see it. And a lot of times you see deals like that has low occupancy where it's not really as easily bankable. So sellers are more aggressive on seller finance or second carry and things like that. Just got to make sure the bank's okay with it. If there's a first position lender, and if there's no first position lender, you got to make sure that it's bankable in the timeline you have, because you don't want to get set up for failure where you need 4 or 5 years to get it stable enough and you've only got a 2-year seller finance note, and then you're going to end up choking on it. But sounds like you got favorable terms.
Yeah, we got the 5-year term on both the first and the second. So it's going to be good, and I haven't closed on it yet, but they've got about 32 vacant park-owned homes there. And someone sent me a deal. I just put under contract 20 park-owned homes from another park that's closing down.
Really?
And I was able to, it was kind of like a bird dog. So the person that found the deal, I'm paying them $400 a home, but the person that bought the park and is closing it down to build a complex doesn't know. They're just giving them away for free. And these are nice homes. So we've already got 20 homes and they're starting to infill the beginning of this week. We dealt with the sellers. They gave us a lease for 90 days for free. So free lot rent for 90 days because, we wanted to move it in now and take this opportunity while we still have it available. And we would be closed within 90 days. And throughout the time that it's there to keep things clean, we just got lease agreements for 3 months for free to keep those homes there. And one step further, we're going to be selling off those homes as they get there, and they're okay with that. Just kind of recoup that capital so we have it for closing. But then I thought about it. I was like, wait a second. They've got 32 vacant park-owned homes there. So why don't I talk to them and ask if I can sell those too? So I called the guy and I said, hey, listen, this is my question for you. You got 32 vacant park-owned homes. This is my proposal. I want to go there or have the property manager that's there now take pictures of all the vacant park-owned homes, send them to me, and I want to sell them. And all the proceeds from those sales will go into an escrow account. And if I don't close, that escrow account gets released to you. If it does close, the escrow account gets released to me. And throughout that time, you will be collecting an additional $300 on lot rent per home that's there. So it can only help, He's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Win-win. Win-win.
So yeah, now we're selling homes that we don't even own yet in a park we haven't even closed on yet, to where we're already bringing more homes to.
Creative deal structure. Good stuff, Mitchell. This is a lot of good stuff. You got a lot going on. You got a successful story, and I appreciate it. What other tips or tricks do you have if we haven't covered yet before we go? Anything else you want to share?
Yeah. So I think that a lot of this stuff is, I think a lot of it's mindset, but it's networking. So I don't want to sound generic, but a lot of people who are successful, and I see this happen a lot, you'll make the post. It'll go pretty good on social media. You'll get a lot of people reach out to you in their messages, and they just want. All they want to do is ask you questions. How'd you do it? How do you find your deals? Can you teach me? Can you teach me? Can you teach me? And my advice to you is actually answer those people. Take 20 minutes, hop on the phone, because this 200 plus lot park was that guy. Somebody that was like, hey, what do I do with these vacant homes? I don't know what to do. What do I do? And he was like, would you want to do a partnership? Can you help me, fill this up and just get my principal back? I mean, I just want out. I thought this would be passive. And because I sat there for an hour on the phone with him, teaching him stuff, he's like, this deal came from it. So now I got a slam dunk, insane, life-changing deal because I sat and talked to one of those people that chirp in your ear saying, what do I do? What do I do? Yeah. And I think so many people don't actually do that. So every time you talk to somebody, for example, right now when that closes, I'll be at over 400 lots and units. It hasn't been 2 years. So, I could be talking to somebody that's a beginner right now that might have 1,000 units in a fund that I need financing from a year later. Who knows? Right. So, always talk to everybody because you don't know what opportunities they can bring. It's the biggest thing is talk to those people that you don't want to talk to.
Yeah, it's definitely becomes a time suck, but it's a time investment if it works, right? And you don't know what's going to work. When I was a young lawyer, I used to hang out in just real estate circles, and there's a lot of brokers in the room, and I didn't know which of these brokers was going to become the future developer, and that would have been the ideal client was a real estate developer. And I was like, some of these young guys and gals are going to become future developers. I don't know which ones it's going to be though. So I better become all of their lawyer. And some of them are going to not go very far, but 10% of them are going to go really far. So I might as well try to be all their lawyer and try to spend time. And I give them lots of free counsel and advice and, and just lots of networking time, and figured one of these days it's going to pay off. Right. And one of these days some fraction of them are going to need services from a lawyer, and I'm going to be the first guy they think of. So it was just investing in the relationships, and they don't always work out, but it doesn't take all of them to work out to make it worth the effort.
Yeah, absolutely. It always starts like that, just talking, and word of mouth is one of the slowest progressors, but it's one of the strongest ones. Last Friday, or was it Friday before last Friday, I closed on a 45 unit mobile home park. I purchased it for $575. My appraisal came back at $1 million as is before I touch it. That was word of mouth.
Yeah.
That was somebody that was in the area, and I just, met them and kept talking to them. And even when they told me no to selling me their park that they had in their family for 50, 60 years, I was like, well, the relationship doesn't stop here. So I just kept chirping in their ears, and eventually I, would drop it into the sentence every now and then. So you want to sell the park yet? Boom. One day it hits, and I meet them at their office, and I was like, well, what do you want for it? And I was prepared to make a good offer because I had a park about 15, 20 minutes away. So I told them, I was like, what do you want? What do you want? And I got it out of them first, and they said 625, and I went crazy. So
Wow.
I was sitting there with them, and I said, again, like if I could have put the mute button in real life, I would have been like screaming, but I looked at them and I said, that's kind of higher than I was thinking. Can we do 550? And he goes, 600 is the lowest I'm going. And I had a contract pre-filled and printed out. The only thing that was missing was my signature and a price. I had it in my hand. So I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write down 575 and I'm going to hand this to you and I'm going to sign it. Scan it back to me sometime tonight or sometime tomorrow if you want to take my offer. I got a few things I got to do. I'll talk to you later. I was, all right. That night I got the contract signed. Now, if he didn't have that contract signed, I would have went back and offered him 6, and then would have offered him 7, and then I would have offered him 8.
Oh man, yeah, that's bold. I
would have kept going because I wasn't afraid to lose the deal because it's just me and him, right?
Yeah.
And
that's how rapport works. You're not really negotiating against the field, right? I've done that before. Exactly. Where I'm like, why'd you sell it to me? They're like, you seem like a nice guy. You seem, like the kind of guy I want to sell to. It's like, great.
Yeah. And I was able to raise. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, that was my first park I owned 100% equity of. Everything else was a joint venture. I had to bring in somebody with a similar structure between 50 to 40% equity on the same joint venture structure that I initially did. But once that cash out happened and I could be able to show I have viable exit strategies, I went on the Pace Morby Investing Facebook group. It's a free group. I went on there and I posted a little ad saying, I'm looking for $100K for this down payment. Let's make it debt. I don't want to do equity. It kind of blew up a little bit because, I had $1 million property under contract for 575 and I was offering secondary collateral as well. So yeah, I think a 5-minute conversation or so kind of wrapped up that $100K private money I got. So I was able to close on the deal with 100% equity, and it's safe because with the appraisal in hand, they can realize that I can get knocked out, go into a coma, wake up 6 months to a year later, not have touched it at all to make any improvements, still pull out like $750,000.
Yeah, sounds great, man. So relationships were key, and staying active and hustling. That's good stuff, man. All right, Mitchell, that's lots of stuff to absorb. But appreciate your time, appreciate your insights and ideas there. Where can our listeners reach out to you? If you want to share a phone number or an email or anything, now's your chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wish I had a platform. But we started a Clubhouse room. It's if you type in on Clubhouse, it's real estate, mobile home parks and more. We're going live on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. We just started it, so it's a little bit new. So if y'all want to pop in, but yeah, also if y'all just want to contact me, you can contact me via email. It's just first and last name. So armstrongmitchell@gmail.com. Mitchell's got 1 L. And yeah, reach out if you guys are looking to do a joint venture or need help with capital for a park to get it closed or whatever it might be, just to talk. Like I said, I'm always willing just to network with people, just to network, because I don't know where those relationships will go.
All right, man. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man.
You got it. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Mobile Home Park Lawyer Podcast with Ferd Neiman. Ready to learn more? Go to www.themobilehomelawyer.com for free resources and materials to help you succeed. If you love the podcast, go to Apple Podcasts, give us your review, and subscribe today. Thank you for listening. Neither the Supreme Court of Missouri nor the Missouri Bar reviews nor approves certifying organizations or specialist designations. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.